Did Jesus descend to hell? Well, it's been a teaching in the church for a long time. What does the Bible actually say? Let's talk about it on 3-Minute Theology. This video is part 3 of a series of videos on understanding the afterlife. So if you've missed any of those, I encourage you to go check them out. So far, we talked about terminology in our first video, and I pointed out that hell and Hades are different places. Last week, we talked about how the Bible describes Hades, or the place of the dead, and that everyone who died went there. In this video, let's answer an important question. What did Jesus do between his death and resurrection? Did he go to hell? Well, if we get our terminology right, we're not talking about hell or Gehenna in Greek. We're really talking about Hades. And yes, it does seem like the Bible teaches us that Jesus did go to Hades after he died on the cross. But what did he do there? So we've established that before Jesus, everyone who died went to Hades, to either the place of comfort or the place of darkness, based somehow on their belief in God. The teaching goes that after Jesus died on the cross, that he descended to the comfort part of Hades, to all those awaiting and believing in the promise that was fulfilled in him. Now, this idea has a long history in the church, with some referring to it as the harrowing of hell. And while there are some who disagree with this viewpoint, it seems like this perspective makes the most sense when we factor all the verses that seem to indicate this is exactly what Jesus did. Check out Matthew 12:40, Acts 2:31, Ephesians 4:9, and 1 Peter 4:6 for just a few examples. Even what Jesus says to the man on the cross next to him makes more sense if we understand that Jesus did not die and go straight to heaven. Jesus says in Luke 23:43 that the man would be with him in paradise. He doesn't say that the man would be in heaven with his Father. This leads me to believe that he first went to Hades, to the place of comfort, or paradise as he calls it, which is where he says the man will be at that very day after he died. So Jesus goes to Hades, and according to 1 Peter, he preaches and likely gives all those believers in God the opportunity to believe in him. Then, after his resurrection, Jesus goes to his Father and brings those he had freed from Hades with him. In fact, based on what 2 Corinthians 12:2-4 teaches us, the place of comfort or paradise is no longer in Hades, but it and everyone there has been moved to heaven. But why is all this significant for us? Well, I think it reveals two important things about God. In Psalm 49:15, the writer declares that God will ransom their soul from the power of Sheol, Hebrew for Hades, and will receive them. There was confidence that God would not abandon those who believed in him to the place of the dead. This would take Jesus to fulfill, but it confirms to us that God always keeps his promises. Secondly, it teaches us that Jesus not only defeated the power of sin on the cross, but also took authority over death. In Revelation 1:18, Jesus declares that he died and is alive forever, and that he holds the keys of death and Hades. Only Jesus could set the captives free from death itself. So we see that Jesus descending to Hades to rescue those who had put their faith in God before him is an essential part of the biblical narrative of how God saves us through Jesus. And what Jesus did on the cross changed everything, especially what happens when people die today. And we'll dig into that in our next episode. But that's all for this 3-Minute Theology. Until next time.